How's it going, gaming fans? So today is this video I should say, is my first video of this new channel that I've started. Now, I started this channel mainly because I have another channel called Brian's Man Cave where I talk about video games and toys, a lot of the old stuff, a lot of retro. But throughout those videos, I'd also throw in a card game or two. Because I really got into card games and there was a lot of different games that I got into. And I started making videos periodically, kind of showing off different card games and stuff. And I wanted to start doing more of it, but I didn't want it to become all of a sudden now the focus of that show, being that it was primarily based on retro classic video games and some toys. So I decided, let's make another channel and just base it on card games. And I've collected a lot. I would say I kind of went a little bit overboard on collecting different kinds of collectible card games. That's what they're designed for. They're designed to be collected, but they're also designed to be played. So I thought, I grabbed a whole bunch here. They're all sitting in front of me, all different kinds. And this isn't even like all of them. This is just like a few that I had out that I could grab just to kind of show off some of the stuff that I've been collecting and talk about this channel, what I plan to do with it. So let's start off with a little bit of my history in that I started off on Magic the Gathering. And, this was when I first found out about this game. I was in college, and I was talking with a friend, and he had this in his hand one day in class, and he was looking at it, and I said, what is that? And, what are those things? And he just started showing me the cards. He's like, oh, it's a game. It's a collectible card game. He used to play it back in his hometown, and he was looking for people to play. And I thought, well, I like games. I always like games, so let's. And I was fascinated by it. As soon as he started explaining the mechanics of the game and the whole idea of being able to construct your own deck and play against somebody. Now, at the time, I was more into like board games and stuff like that. And you really, in a board game, you set up the game and you just play it, right? You don't have a whole lot of control over, changing the game dynamics. And it's mostly just that game. So learning that I can actually build my own, deck of cards and, put my own strategies in there, that was really cool to me. And so obviously I got into Magic, and I mean, we were just buying cards left, right, and center. We went to a local card shop. I was constantly going through there, digging through their common bins, digging through their binders, coming up with crazy concepts, deck ideas. And that's primarily the type of player I've always been. Was I like to just come up with crazy combos, crazy ideas, try and make things work. I was never really that heavy meta player. And if you're not familiar with what that means, that's pretty much you play the strongest decks, the top tier tournament decks, and you just focus on that. You focus on winning. My decks were always primarily to focus on, having fun, trying to do things that a lot of people weren't doing, trying to beat those bigger decks with creative decks that a lot of people wouldn't see coming. And so I kind of did that throughout, a lot of the different card games I tried. The second game I got into was YuGiOh. Now, at the time, I started seeing this game in the stores, and I got into it when the very beginning, when the first Blue Eyes White Dragon deck and the Dark Magician deck were out on the shelf, and people were playing it and talking about it, and I had no idea what it was. I asked the guy in the store, I'm like, what is that? And he showed me the thing. He's like, it's the latest thing. It's from Japan. I was like, oh, I'm interested. I'll give it a shot. And I got hooked on that game a lot. The friend that I was playing Magic with, he moved on, but I made more friends and that also played Magic. So my other friend that I played a lot of Magic with, he didn't really get into Yu-Gi-Oh too much. So I started going to the tournaments, the locals, and playing there and meeting new people and building new decks. And I went a little bit overboard on Yu-Gi-Oh, I think. Same with Magic. I mean, my collection of Magic is too big. But throughout those courses, I was also playing other games and buying odd games like this one here, SimCity. This one, I remember when it popped out on the shelf. In fact, I even did a video on it in my other channel. It's literally a game. It's more like a board game, but you kind of build one deck and everybody uses that one deck. It's a little bit interesting. The rules are a little bit convoluted and complicated, but it's an interesting game. But I also tried other mainstream games like Naruto, which, it's fun. I kind of liked it. I kind of got into Pokemon, which I don't think I grabbed a card for, but I think a lot of people know what Pokemon is. Another one that I kind of got into was Star Wars. Now this was the first one, the first game that came out. There was a lot of Star Wars TCGs that actually popped out on the shelf after this one. This was made by, I think it was Score. Pretty cool game actually. They really I'm gonna show that there. That's the dark side. What are they called? And anyways, the point I was making was they really tried to emphasize the movie. They used a lot of, like, all the card art is clips from the original movies, the original three movies. So all the characters in there, and they really stay true to the storyline, and that's what was cool about this. It's kind of an odd game, hard to learn in the beginning because it plays a lot different. You do lay out your table full of your bases and all that stuff, and it does end up playing a little bit more like a board game once the game gets going. In fact, there was a few games like that, Doomtown for one, where you actually set up a little city, or sorry, town, and you battle within that town. You're moving your cards around like you're playing a board game. Really cool. And another game that I kind of started buying a lot of was Seventh Sea. Now, it's funny, I don't think I ever played this with a real opponent. I just kind of was playing with myself, in that I bought these decks. They were really cheap. It was like in a card shop. I used to go to different card shops, and this one, I guess they were just clearing them out. They were like $4 for a deck, and I bought two. I went home and I started learning the rules. I'm like, this is pretty cool. My idea was learn the rules and stuff, and then start introducing it to some of the other friends I had, but I never really got around to it. But this is something that I need to explore a little bit more on this channel. Then there was a different card game that came around that I kind of got into a lot, and that was Harry Potter. And it's a shame that this game kind of stopped. This was put out by Wizards of the Coast, the same people that made Magic the Gathering. And in a sense, it kind of can feel like it's a Magic the Gathering style game, but it plays a little bit different. I mean, you do have creatures and stuff like that, but you don't actually like physically attack your opponent by putting a creature to the board and say I attack you with it. It's just when they're on the field every turn, they just automatically do damage to your opponent. The thing that's cool about this game is it's not about life points. Your deck is your life. So when your deck runs out, you're dead. Kind of like the same idea with Star Wars. The same idea is that the deck is, the thing that's cool about these type of games is it doesn't require all those beads, counters, different things to play these games. You just play them. Like, you just pull it out of the box and you play it as is. You don't need to add counters. One of the things with, say, Pokemon, or even to some extent YuGiOh Magic, is there's always going to be required extra pieces to play that. Not that that's a bad thing, but, it's just that little extra thing. And it's just cool that games like Harry Potter never required that. I mean, maybe just a die, so you roll to see who goes first. Then after that, I kind of like, the Harry Potter thing, I played it for a while at a different card shop I used to live near. And, since I've moved away from there, I literally put the cards away, but it's another game I'd like to pull out. I then moved on to like some other oddities. I started playing Netrunner with my friend. He wanted to play this game. He got into it. This is a Richard Garfield game. The thing is, this game it changed and it became a living card game. So what that means is you literally buy the entire set together, and you build from that, and then you could add on to new sets. It's not like booster packs where there's rarities and all that stuff. Which I think is a little bit better in some degree. It takes away that you have to be rich to build the best deck, but there's something fun about buying booster packs too. So moving on, I know I'm making this a long video, but moving on. I mean, when I started my channel, Brian's Man Cave, I had to kind of stop playing a lot of card games. I stopped going to the card shops. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the time, the money, and all that stuff to focus on playing Yu-Gi-Oh anymore, and I kind of put my cards away. and I haven't really been playing for a while, like quite a while, and I started to really miss playing card games. I really started to miss it. And so I looked into like stuff that was coming out recently, and this game popped up, which is kind of cool. Just want to show you that one. This game popped up, and I looked into this one, Keyforge. Now, this is an interesting card game because it's a unique deck game. It's not, you don't actually build the deck by buying singles and stuff and putting a deck together. You buy it as a deck and you play it as a deck, and you can only play this deck because it has its own background, its own backing, which breaks tradition from the original card games. So I started to get into that one, and again, I only really played with myself. I wasn't going to tournaments or anything like that. And another one I picked up was Warhammer. I started to look into that game too, because I was just missing kind of the playing of card games, the shuffling and stuff. And, you know, I thought I'm not going to get back into Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or anything like that. I started selling cards, and then I started to look back into Yu-Gi-Oh again, which is why I bought this. And, you know, that they say that with card games. A lot of times you get into it, you kind of get out of it, and then you get back into it. And so, like, I've always told people that don't ever sell your cards, don't sell your collections, because you'll never know when you're going to get back into that again. Even though, like, I sold some cards, I only sold a few of the really valuable ones. But anyways, yeah, so, you know, I didn't want to make this too long. But my point is, I just really felt like I needed an outlet to try and talk about card games, all the different card games that I like to play. But I want to also focus mostly on, say, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic for now. Mainly because they're the most that, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm still into. Magic, I've been playing it for so long. I have a lot of combos and decks and things that I used to play, and perhaps I could do some gameplay stuff online. You know, different things like that. So, hopefully you like the video. Like I said, this is kind of like a secondary channel to me to go on about card games. And let's talk about combos, let's talk about decks, let's talk about different games, let's talk about strategies, anything related to card games I'm going to be putting on this channel. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. I know this is a longer video than I wanted it to be, but, you know, I just wanted to do kind of an introduction of what this channel is going to be about. Anyways, hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.